Hey lovely sexy hobby people, welcome to today's video, which is going to be a catch-up flick through for Wargames Illustrated issue 434. Hey lovelies, welcome to today's video, which is going to be a catch-up for Wargames Illustrated. I'm really behind with this magazine, I do apologise, but it's 434, February 2024, so probably appropriate that we're doing it now. So, contents, subscriptions, and then observation posts. Right, so new for that time. Rules, supplements, figures, terrain, hobby gear, and more. New and forthcoming war games, stuff you need to know about. So Kraut to cover assorted basing materials. Talking about that, then we have, in fact, that's it. It's all of it. Kraut tack, their glue by the look of it. Helion Wargames, Bushidan, 28mm scale wargaming, period of Japan, 1543 to 1615, £25. It's a 110-page softback full colour book. Partisan Press, Wargamers Painting Guide, Volume 5. So for those people that do multiple things, I myself do Warhammer 40k, Age of Sigmar, Dungeons & Dragons, Walking Dead All Out War, and a couple of other little bits and pieces. I'm a scale modeler as well. Things like this are really useful, so I can see this being a handy guide. But it says scale 28mm, can be used for various sized figures. Period, ECW and 30 Years War. Price guide is £24.50. It's 108-page softback full colour book. So even though it's 30 Years War, a lot of the stuff in here is going to be transferable. So things like horses and painting clothes on the rank and file, you know, all going to be transferable to painting peasants or painting Lord of the Rings figures, you know, or painting other horses that you might see in your games of Warhammer or so on and so forth. North Star Oathmark mounted elf characters. So they look good. So 28mm. So they'd be good for Dungeons & Dragons. Fantasy, £7. White metal rider and plastic horse, it says. Cool. Right, release radar. Dom Saw explores the latest new and upcoming products in his monthly column. So what do we have here? We have British Expeditionary Force, Wargames Atlantic's Forceful Start. So updated parts, the boys is no longer fired left-handed. Pouch is now closed with snaps rather than buckles. There's a reverse brain carrying arm and rifles with fixed bayonets. You must admire WA's constant striving for accuracy and customer satisfaction. They look good. Looking at the photo here, they look good. Very much British infantry loadout here, with the respirator haversack being strapped to the front of the chest for the British Expeditionary Force and like the start of the war. We then have WA's digital spin-off, Atlantic Digital. My Mini Factory has kept up an impressive volume of releases during its first year online, and it's shown no sign of slowing. There are some great bits on the way, such as a large Tyrannosaurus Rex with rider. That looks really cool. Love that. We have some skeleton they look like, yeah, they're skeletons. Why would a necromancer only raise human skeletons to serve in an army, especially when the reanimated bones of other races have such interesting shapes? The halflings don't look as cute as you might expect. The dwarves still have beards. How else would you know they were dwarves? And orcs are my favourites with their Japanese samurai vibe. If history If history is your preference, Atlantic Digital also feature multiple historical wargaming sets. So there you go. Right, Swedish storage hobby holders and trinket trays. Trinity trinkets, rather. If you're a board gamer as well as a wargamer, you will be aware of IKEA's Kallax shelving range. These freestanding shelves have openings that seem custom designed for board game storage, as they have the perfect dimensions to nestle many of the best games around. They're not quite as ideal for wargamers yet. Things look set to change with new inserts that Sally Forth, wargamesbuildings.co.uk, have created, found in the storage solution sections of the website. The sets combine runners and drawers that can be slotted into your Swedish furniture. So the picture here looks good, look like acrylic drawers that just, obviously you put the runners in and then the drawers. If you don't have space for a dedicated hobby desk, or if you like to travel with your painting gear and natter with like-minded folk as you paint, then Black Site Studios, new case 01 would be perfect. That's that one. And then firstcause.co.uk have some more MDF pieces. This looks like Western. World War II triple. So here we go. We have some Churchill tanks here. So new 6mm Polish figures from Heroics and Roz. Heroicsandroz.co.uk have caught my attention and brought my gaze back to the battlefields of World War II. There are 13 new codes covering infantry, support weapons and artillery. These include Browning BAR in firing, prone and walking poses, CKM WZ30 MMG, 81mm Brandt M2731 mortar team, KP WZ35 anti-tank rifle team, and gun crew kneeling or standing. There are also some officer staff figures to give the illusion, small scale, the illusion of command. This is everything you need to establish that. Mardav Minis, mdminis.co.uk have been busy as always producing new items for British and French forces. The Brits get a new Churchill tank, or to be more accurate, they get 12 variants of it, from the Mark 1 all the way up to the Mark 5, and the Avery, which is Armoured Vehicles Royal Engineers, and Bridge Layer are thrown into the mix for good measures. The French meanwhile had infantry and vehicles 3D printed. The ability to resize the STL files before printing means that 20mm and 28mm scales can be purchased. Cool. A Shah 2C. I can't. It's not a Shah B1. I know that much. But that's one of the early French tanks for World War II. And then miniature melange. First called Don't Just Make Terrain. See above. They're also known for their figures, among which their expensive American Civil War, there you go, is a highlight. It's even more appealing now that they've added some great looking aide-de-camp sets. These come in mounted and dismounted versions in packs of 4. Cool. Right, quick fire. So, readers' letters from around the world. And then history scenario stats done. Designing a workable war game scenario. Yeah, we all like to do that. We all like to make our custom scenarios rather than just kick the snot out of the opposing side, capture objectives, or even base a game on a real life event. I'd love to see the San Nazir raid realised in wargaming. That would be really cool. I'd love to see that. I think you could do it 2 ways. You could have a smaller scale of the estuary as the flotilla goes up, and then once they round the gate, you can move over to a 28mm board and war game the troops deploying or achieving their objectives, and just trying to see whether they can actually break out, as a lot of them were captured. I think nearly all of them were captured in the San Nazir raid. But yeah, so a little article on, you know, designing and running your own scenario. Wow, Cold War's internal security operations. So we have, oh, this is really good. So these look like British troops wearing the soft body armour that was issued to troops in Northern Ireland. This looks like Ulster Constabulary or Northern Ireland Police Force. And then I'm assuming we have various paramilitary soldiers there. The Templars' last charge, Lion Rampant and the end of the Crusader states. Steve Tibble casts his expert gaze over the last moments of the Templars at war during the siege of Acre. It was May 18, 1291, and the early morning calm of the besieged city of Acre was broken by screams, fear and death. Panic spread almost instantaneously. Muslim troops had broken through the outer walls. The Templar Grand Master William of Beaujeu responded as quickly as he could. He gathered his men to seal the gap in the wall, but their numbers were pitifully few. There was no army left, just a few brave soldiers. The Templar cavalry were no more than 10 or 12 brethren, and William's own household troops were frantically strapped on whatever armour... They frantically strapped on whatever armour they had to hand, ran towards their horses. This was a gallant but forlorn gesture, a bitter hope thrown against an unstoppable tide of jubilant soldiery. The men saddled up and rode off towards the sounds of the fighting. There was no chance of success, and they all knew it, but the Templars would not go down quietly. Their duty was clear. They had to buy time for the civilians to retreat to the citadel. There you go. So, again, just following on from that last article, this is a reenactment, a scenario reenacting, and the terrain board looks really good. Great citadel walls here. Fantastic, love those. Never-ending collection. I think any wargamer doesn't just turn around and say, "That's it, my army's done." No wargamer. It's the same as any scale modeler doesn't turn around and say, "My collection's done." Just no, it doesn't happen. If anybody says that, they're telling porkies. But yeah, never-ending collection. Pete Brown tells us about the Culloden game he ran at the Warlord Games Open Day and how he went about collecting the figures in the beginning. So again, these look really nice, really nicely painted. Adriatic Adventures. Dave Watson outlines Russian activities in the Adriatic in 1806 and offers a Napoleonic tabletop scenario with a difference. So, another historical scenario. 1806, enter the Russians. And these look great. Again, lovely painted miniatures for studio armies here. ABC Warriors. So, fans of 2000 AD, Judge Dredd, etc., etc. 2000 AD was a treasured part of James's formative years, which helps us understand our project manager's quirks a little better and makes him the ideal guide to Warlord Games' new ABC Warriors starter set. So, I hate the Judge Dredd film that Stallone did. The Carl Urban Dredd I think from 2016? Or maybe slightly earlier. That was a much better Dread film. And I'd love to see another one, because he did it really well. I loved it. Fantastic. But it looks like we get a really cool starter set here. 4 miniatures per side by the look of it, plus some terrain. And your rulebook and dice. Here we go, look. Here you go. So yeah, there's all your various minis. And what could potentially be upgrade, additional troops. So Gulag, Kalevala, Mongrel, Black Blood, Rasputin, and then other side characters and auxiliaries here. Yeah, for those that like the 2000 AD, that looks like it's going to be a good game. Right, another historical scenario. A freezing fighting retreat. There's nothing wrong with a fighting retreat. Okay, there's nothing wrong with allowing the enemy to come onto you and you withdraw to prepared positions to better deal with, you know, his advance. So yeah, it's never a retreat. It's a fighting withdrawal. Dom Saw follows up on the last issue's hit and run theme with an article that examines the Italians' fighting retreat from Russia in World War II. Cool. Again, lovely painted minis. Loving the buildings as well. Like seemingly typical kind of peasant buildings or Russian farm buildings for around that era. Brilliant. The attack on Fort Gallabat, World War II, 1939 to 45, one-day campaign guidelines. Right, last issue, Karim van Overmeyer outlined the background and gaming basics for his World War II action in the African campaign. This time he shows how to translate the gaming into a one-day campaign. So, the attack on Fort Gallabat can be played as a quick campaign by individual British and Italian players. Or by multiple participants working in teams. The services of an umpire are highly desirable here, and the campaign turns can be arranged ahead via email, but the goal is to have a couple of enjoyable tabletop games. So this is going to be, is there any little history behind this? No. No, I can't see anything about the history, the background of the action. The Battle of Motola. Liberation of Italy, skirmish encounter for bolt action by Colin Ball. So it looks like we have... Operation Slapstick was the code name given to a rather unusual Allied invasion that took place during the Italian campaign in September 1943. The Italian government had surrendered and offered to hand over the naval base and port of Taranto, located at the heel of Italy. Keen to take advantage of this, the Allied commanders gathered a force at short notice to take part in the landing. The only troops available were the British 1st Airborne Division, who were refitting in North Africa at the time after fighting in Sicily. All transport aircraft had been allocated to the main invasion of Sicily and Italy, so the Airborne Division had to be transported to Taranto by ship, making a landing at the port on the night of 9th September 1943. Commanded by Major General George Hoppy Hopkinson, the division quickly began to spread out from its landing site to seize the surrounding countryside. However, early encounters found the German opposition in the area consisted of elements of the 1st Fallschirmjäger Division, who immediately began a fighting retreat, opposing the British wherever they could. So there you go. Wargaming Manzakir. This is medieval, 1000 to 15,000 AD. Sorry, 1000 to 1500 AD, 1500 AD, not 15,000 AD. That was like way too far in the future. In 1071, the East Roman Emperor Romanus IV resolved to put an end to incessant raids by the Seljuk Turks and re-establish imperial control over Armenia. The opportunity came when Muhammad ibn Dawud Kagri, known as Alp Arslan, strong as a lion, led the Seljuks through Roman territory with the intention of attacking Fatimid-held Syria and Egypt. Romanus led a huge army into eastern Anatolia behind Alp Arslan. With their supply lines cut, the Turks had no choice but to call off their offensive and retreat. In doing so, they lost many men from desertion and a disastrous crossing of the Euphrates River. There you go. So again, talking you through how to play it. And then setting up an infograph guide to the battle. Okay. And again, some really lovely plates by Osprey Publishing. They do some really great artwork for their books. Operation Icarus, the battle for Iceland that might have been. So there you go, scenario for World War II. British against Germans. Ruckus in the WI gaming room. We are hosting various games of Ruckus and never mind the Billhook Small Skirmish Little Brother at WI Tower during its development. In this article, James presents highlights from some of the dramatic tabletop clashes so far. Nice. So the people from WI getting in on the act. An ACW signal tower making and gaming. So no, they didn't set a light to it. It's literally a tower that the troops would stand on and use flags. So yeah, cool. That's nice. I like that. It's a really good rendition there. And then that's it. Right, okay, so that was catch up for Wargames Illustrated. I think the standout for me were the ABC Warriors. That's really good. That looks like it could be a fun game. Anyway, hopefully you'll join me in the next video. All right, take care. Bye-bye.